How's it going, folks? I just come on to talk about the incident on the train the other day. Now, not specifically about the incident, because you can't predict these things. Sadly, they do appear to be a sort of part of living in the UK now, to be honest. If you look back over just the last year or two, the amount of similar incidents we've had is just astronomically out of control. Now, I just shut the window. What I want to talk about is what we're going to do about it, and there's two elements to that. There's the fantasy element and the reality element. Fantasy. So I've been listening to various news outlets. Obviously, as usual, people aren't focusing on the bigger issue here. They're focusing on the fact that it was on a railway station. Now we're talking about knife archers and airline type security at railway stations, which I work on the railway now. It's just impossible and pointless. The amount of people that catch trains every day, you simply cannot provide a fast enough, effective enough system to process all of them through some sort of security before they board a train. So that's out of the question. The next one I've heard is a police officer on every train. Well, it's not impossible. It's expensive, and it's going to be one of those things where 99% of the time they're not going to be doing anything, and then in short order people are going to have a problem with that and start moaning, shouldn't you be catching real criminals? Haven't you got real things to deal with? So that's, from that point of view, that's not going to happen. From the pure financial and operational point of view, that they're never going to pay for that. They don't care about you enough. So that's the two major options out the window. So let's talk about the realistic side of, the reality of the problem in the UK. There's an old phrase, and the phrase is, when seconds count, the police are minutes away. And I'm sorry, I don't care what your standing is. That is an undeniable fact. It doesn't matter whether you're a conscientious objector, whether you're completely against violence and things like that. The reliance on the state doesn't work. You can't live your life expecting the police to just turn out and take care of you every time something goes tits up, right? So unfortunately, and you can debate this all you like, it is a fact. Unfortunately, the only person who can 100% be responsible for your safety is you. Debate that all you like. The only person that's going to be there at the time when it happens is you, when it's happening to you. So there's two options, really. Well, there's three options. The third option is we just carry on as it is. We all hold hands, light a candle, tell everyone how sad it was, have a vigil, all cuddle each other, lay some flowers down, and then wait for the next one. That's currently that's the line we're taking at the moment. That's the line we've taken for a long time. Sick of it, frankly. The first thing that applies to the next option is that you need to understand that the idea of public safety from a governmental point of view is non-existent. It's a myth. It doesn't exist. There's nothing they can do short of sticking an armed police officer next to every citizen in this country 24/7. There's nothing they can do to protect you when things like this happen. We've had the stabbing on the train. There was a girl that was stabbed with a screwdriver repeatedly. Her offender's just gone to prison. There was the thing at the synagogue in Manchester the other day. That poor bloke walking his dog the other day who got stabbed to death And that's not including all of the fallout, the other people that are injured and somehow miraculously manage to survive these things. Unfortunately, you all need to hear the hard truth. And the hard truth is, you need to tool up. It's as simple as that. I'm not saying you have to carry a gun. I'm not saying you have to carry, something that's going to kill someone else. But I've been all over the world. And oddly enough, the most striking place in my living memory is Europe. Poland, Germany, France, Spain, Bulgaria, all these sort of European countries that are, for want of a better word, very similar to us. Pepper spray is widely available. It's literally on the shelf next to the Skittles. You can buy stun devices. You can carry batons, extendable batons like the police have. You can carry Coubatons, like them little sticks that you put your keys on that turns them into like a flail. But in the UK, you can't carry anything. You literally can't carry anything. And what pisses me off about that is it's not like a weird desire to carry something. It's that the British attitude appears to be, well, everyone else has got it wrong and we're right. Just call the police. Rely on the state all the time. Feeling ill, call an ambulance. Got a fire, call the fire service. Lost your dog, call the police, call the warden. Someone's attacking you, call the police. Someone's sent a nasty Facebook post, call the police. There's just this unachievable reliance that the government, clearly they want us to rely on them. It's just unachievable. They can't deal with everything. And when I served in the police, it was very apparent very quickly that you're everything to everyone, because there isn't really any other option. So we're currently in this weird state where the criminal element of society are tooled up. They're carrying weapons of knives, guns, batons, sticks, you name it. They carry what they want. They always do. To protect their drugs or to protect themselves from other people in the same game. And you've got the government. You've got these people in Parliament that dictate to you and I the rights and wrongs about self-defence, whilst there's an armed policeman still outside the front door 24/7. They're never going to experience it. So there is a counter argument to this, and it always comes up, and it really sort of grips me, to be honest. And it's this very sort of odd belief that if my 60-year-old mother, I say 65-year-old mother, starts carrying pepper spray when she goes out and walks the dog, criminals are going to start carrying it as well. So we can't do that, because then we've got to deal with criminals carrying it. Well, unfortunately, I don't give a shit what criminals are carrying. They're going to do it anyway. It has no bearing on me whatsoever. And that argument comes across to me as, we're the victims in all of this. But if we attempted to do anything to protect ourselves from being the victims, we embolden the baddies to carry the same things as us. So therefore, we shouldn't carry anything and just die. It's utter lunacy. It is utter lunacy. It's the same thing with arming the police. These pacifists sit there and they say, if you arm the police, criminals are going to be more armed. Well, so what? That's the police's problem, unfortunately. It ain't my problem. At the end of the day, the figures are clear. London Bridge, this train thing the other day, we're talking about an 8-minute response time from armed police to deal with it, which is good. I'm not knocking the police. I'll never knock the police. They do an immensely difficult job that nobody can really understand until you've done it. It is the pressure and the workload on them is astronomical. You can't imagine until you've done it. But 8 minutes is a long time. And I always say this to people as well. I implore you, if you think 8 minutes is quick, get one of your mates or your brother or your sister or whatever, stick some boxing gloves on, go in the garden and slug it out for 8 minutes. I guarantee you'll be hanging out your arse in 40 seconds and you've still got all that time to go. So if someone's attacking you with a knife or multiple people with a knife, that is a long time to be under attack. And the average person simply can't sustain the exertion to deal with it. You know, certainly unarmed with nothing to hit back with. You cannot sustain the physical effort that is required to ward off that threat. And this is why things like pepper spray and tasers and things like this exist, because it offers a virtually, not so much with tasers, there's been a couple of cases where people have died, albeit that's from secondary effects, like they might have a heart problem, but on the whole, generally, they're not lethal. Pepper spray exists to give people that edge to run away. That's what it's for. You spray them in the face, you make sure it's worked, they're then incapacitated, and you bug out. That's all you have to do. It's not there so that you can spray them in the face and then leather them. That's not what it exists for. It gives you an unfair advantage for the duration of the effects. Now, I've been involved with firearms for 35 years. I would consider myself competent to carry a firearm at all times. I would consider myself competent to know when it was appropriate to use one. But I don't think that is the answer. But the point I'm making is the government and the police don't trust you. They've got no basis for that lack of trust. They've got no basis for that outright point blank no. We cannot let the public carry defensive items. There's no basis for it other than they might hurt someone. And again, I have to raise the issue. It's time the British people started getting selfish about things like this, because if Joe Bloggs down the road buys himself a taser and then he goes and shoots his brother with it when they have an argument, that isn't my problem. Unfortunately for the government, that's not my problem. That is their problem and the police's problem. And, you go through the justice system to sort that out. That doesn't solve the issue of me being sat on a train when someone comes through with a knife or a gun and starts massacring people. Currently, run, hide, tell, blah, blah, blah. Get somewhere, get as far away from it. You're on a train, mate. There's only so far you can go. And if the train, thank God it had staff on it, because it wasn't too long ago they were talking about binning staff, and I'm still to this moment unsure as to how the driver would have ever known that it was going on. It might have just continued, and that bloke's got all that time in the world to just crack on and stab people. So that's your options, mate. Well, there's, in addition to that, in the UK, in order to carry a firearm for the purpose of security, you have to be in the military or you have to be a warranted police officer. That causes all manner of problems, in that private security companies cannot provide an armed capability to, large railway stations, airports, things like. The police have got to do it all. And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. The Civil Nuclear Constabulary and the Ministry of Defence Police both exist to protect government assets and things like that. And they're armed. And the reason they're armed is because they're police. And I guarantee you, it's a pound to a pinch of shit, right? If they took the reins off and let private security agencies provide armed contracts to protect facilities like nuclear power stations, the MDP and the CNC would cease to exist overnight. That is a fact. Certainly the CNC, because they are basically armed security. They don't do anything but armed security. They have levels of training, I understand that, to recover nuclear material, to deter things, etc., etc. So do the MDP. They do armed nuclear weapons escorts. But the army can do that. They've got Marines with them. You know, the whole thing needs a rethink. So there's your three options. You either push your MP to bring up in the House, you know, the discussion about the carriage of defensive items. They're not lethal. There will be some fallout from it, but that's not your problem. That's their problem. And they need to organise the justice system to deal with that as and when it happens, okay? If you're on a train and you know, you and the missus or the husband or, you know, whatever are carrying an incapacitant spray, that dramatically A, deters people from doing things if they know that the potential is there, and B, increases your chances of getting away from whoever's doing it. If you get a nice well-aimed shot in the face with pepper spray, they are going down. I've had it done to me. It's not a good day out. It's the most searing, awful pain I've ever experienced. And it locks your eyes shut, puts you on your knees, and you're sobbing like a baby. Okay? That edge gives you the distance and the time to wait for the authorities to arrive. But in the interim, at the moment, between the incident happening and the police turning up, you're fucked. There's nothing you can do. We've got people picking up narwhal tusks and being lauded up for it. It's insane. It's fucking insane. We're literally allowing the government to just do willy-nilly what they want. They're not doing the will of the people. And everyone goes, oh, look at the United States. We're nothing like the United States. Your ability to carry a firearm in the United States is enshrined in law. It's not a privilege, it's a right. It's something that you get as soon as you turn 18. Again, that is their problem. They've got big time gun problems over there. That's their problem. I am, you know, pro what they do over there with the law, but that's up to them. We've got no say in that. I'm talking about the UK. And in the UK, criminals are armed, the government are armed, the victims, they're not armed. They'll never be allowed to be armed unless we all stand up and say, look, enough is enough. This is getting out of control. So, in short, they allow us to carry defensive items. They take the leash off the stupid laws that prevent security companies providing armed protection. You know, schools, railway stations, airport. You did see all of that. Airports and things like that would all suddenly become private overnight. I guarantee it. B, you know, they follow all of these stupid ideas that they've got that they're never going to be able to fund or follow. Or C, we all just crack on as we are and just hope that it never happens to us. There's your options, because there is nothing else. So, the only person responsible for your safety and security, the only person able to give you the best chance of surviving an incident like this is you. And at the moment, you're unable to do anything about it because they won't let you carry articles to protect yourself because they don't trust you. I'm a 43-year-old grown adult. I've been around this sort of industry for 30 years. You know, I started shooting as a cadet many years ago. I've been interested in military and civil security and defence for as long as I can remember. I always carry a pocket knife. I've always had a pocket knife, not for the purpose of defence. It's amazing when you start carrying one, you realise how often you use it. It's a legal, UK legal pocket knife. And I always have done. And in 30 years, I've never stabbed anyone with it. I've never stabbed myself with it. This is the thing. There are people out there that don't fit the criteria, but training, vetting, and refreshment training to keep you current, and then you can select who has the ability to carry these things. But just one person on that carriage, if they had some sort of defensive article, one person, doesn't have to be everyone. A lot of people wouldn't want to carry pepper spray, but one person, if they did and jetted that guy in the face, would we be where we are? You tell me. They say that violent crime's on the fall. I don't believe it, unless it's just in the media more. But There's certainly more stabbings and things going on. They're still taking guns off the streets. You know, there's still the all ever present risk of terrorism. And that's become a widespread, bigger, sort of all-encompassing thing. It's not just Islamist anymore. And I'll never understand the British people and their view on public safety. They're happy to just sit there and be a victim because it will probably never happen to them. It's just insanity. So that's my take. It's a little bit fragmented and broken up because I've just done it on the fly. I haven't prepared to do this video. I just thought off the cuff that I'd do it. What's your views on it? If you're going to argue that us carrying pepper spray and batons and things like that is going to make baddies carry it, then don't even comment, because they already are. And that argument is a complete misnomer. They might well start carrying more things, but that doesn't make the situation for us any better. You know, we're still unarmed. We're still unable to protect ourselves. The police can't protect you. The state can't protect you. The only person that can protect you is you, and you're not allowed to carry anything to do that. That's what the debate's about. And as we see these incidents increase, you know, I want you all to just pay attention and open your eyes and decide whether you think it's time that, you know, things changed and rules were relaxed a little bit, because at the moment there is nothing you can do, and that is unacceptable. Nothing other than getting up and trying to punch their lights out. But when they stood there with a machete or a dagger or a kitchen knife, you got no chance. You're going to be dead. You're going to be dead in quick time. And it makes me wonder whether that's factored in. So yeah, there's the debate. There's today's rant. Get in the comments. Tell me what you think. What you think the answer is. I personally think that is it. That is the answer. People need to be allowed. I can't believe I'm saying it. I don't know who the government fucking think they are sometimes, but people need to be allowed to take some sort of responsibility for their own safety and stop relying on the government, because they're never going to be there for you. So that's the debate. Is it time we were allowed to defend ourselves? I'm not saying guns. I'm just saying defensive articles. There's various different types on the market in other countries. And always bear in mind that these are widely available in Europe. And Europe is supposed to be this big, soft-arsed, you know, liberal utopia. But you can still get these things in Europe, certainly in Poland and Romania and places like that. These are widely available. Like I said, I saw some pepper spray in a plastic, you know, wrapping next to the Skittles on a shelf in Poland. And you can just, it was $8, I think it was 8, whatever their money is, zloty. You can just pick one up with your Skittles and carry on happy in the knowledge that you've got something on you to protect yourself. In the UK, that's a Section 5 restricted firearm, and that is a mandatory 5 years in prison for possessing it. It's insane. Absolutely insane. So there's the debate. Talk about it. Stick your comments in. Tell me if you think I'm talking bollocks. Don't be a victim and get some training. Get out there and do, I don't know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Krav Maga. They're about the only two that are worth a shit, to be honest. Be aware. Be spatially aware of your surroundings at all times. Keep your earphones in your bag until you're somewhere where you can protect yourself. If you're on a train, you need to be heads up, paying attention now and again. Get trained, first aid, things like that. Carry tourniquets, carry med kits, because these incidents can happen to anyone at any time. Get debating. I want to hear back on this one. Thank you.